If you've been paying attention here recently, you might have noticed that Wargaming has been on a bit of a roll here recently in regards to announcing highly demanded ships. Just in the very short time we've had in 2024 already, they've announced the release of the Rodney, sister ship to the Nelson, the Wisconsin, the third Iowa class to enter into this game, and here most recently the Johnston, the Fletcher class destroyer that gave the Yamato a boss fight. And that has been, well, in my opinion, a pretty good thing. These are three highly demanded ships that many of us have been asking for since the game started 8 years ago, right? But why are we very suddenly getting all three of these ships? I mean, again, we're barely 3 months into 2024, and now they're dumping all these ships out on us. Again, for most of us, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, right? We're finally getting some real steel premium ships that we've been asking for quite some time, rather than a continued just slog of paper ships, right? But some others have raised some very good points about many of these ships and the timing of their release. And many have pointed out that, hey, this is looking a little cash grabby here, right? With the recent trends in the player numbers being either stable on most servers or even decreasing here in the North American server, is Wargaming just kind of cashing out right now, doing one last cash grab before they pull the plug on World of Warships? And that is the subject of today's video, dear viewer. So if you do find yourself enjoying this video at any point, you find yourself enjoying it, you find it entertaining or informational, please make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Helps out, of course, on the YouTube side of things. So, cash grabs. Of course, with the free-to-play game model, right? Many free-to-play games have many opportunities to remove, your cash from your bank account, right? And World of Warships is, of course, a free-to-play game, and has its fair share of cash grabby events, right? So, these three most recently announced new premium ships, are they some type of last-ditch cash grab from Wargaming to remove cash from our wallets before the game dies? Well, there's a couple of things that we need to, of course, look at first. With the Rodney and the Johnston and the Wisconsin, there's a couple of weird things about these ships. First off, with both the Rodney and the Johnston, they were announced seemingly well in advance of when you would normally announce the premium ship, or any new ship for that matter, because they didn't even have the ship models ready to go for the dev blogs, and they went ahead and announced them. Now, that is not exactly a super rare thing for Wargaming. They have done that in the past, where they've announced, especially with tech line ships, right, where they've announced a whole tech line, and you might have one or two ships that the models aren't exactly presentable just yet, shall we say, but for the most of the line, there's generally some type of either in progress model or in some cases finished models on. Like if you look at the French torpedo destroyer line that was announced a few days ago, we were missing a couple models there, but for most of the line we had images of the models, and for the tier 10 we had a very rough model there for our viewing pleasure. But that does seem even more odd when the Rodney's a sister ship of the Nelson, and we have the Nelson in game, right? And then the Johnston is a Fletcher, and we have 6 of those suckers in game already. And you couldn't just, give us a generic Fletcher model with, some of the maybe details removed that would be changed around from the Fletcher model in game to the Johnston model once it is fully released. So that was a little bit weird. Wisconsin, though, we did have a model for that ready to go. But it is worth not understating how well received the Johnston will probably be on the North American server, and of course the Wisconsin as well. These are two very famous ships over here in North America, and particularly the United States. The Johnston's exploits are legendary. The Wisconsin's, of course, one of the 4 Iowa-class battleships, and the Iowas are just insanely popular over here. We have a whole lot of museum ships in the United States, and sadly, many of them are, not the most visited, shall we say, as good as many of our museum ships are, but the Iowas will probably never really have to worry about attendance, because every single one I've been to or I've seen videos from, it's always packed, and there's no shortage of, popularity there. In fact, when I went to the Wisconsin, they know that you're there to see the Wisconsin at, was it Nauticus Nautica, the museum there. So you can't just go straight into the ship. They make you go through their museum and such first, and there's no way to get straight into the Wisconsin. You have to, go through their whole museum, and then you can get to the Wisconsin, right? So these are some incredibly popular ships. Just the Rodney, just the Johnston, just the Wisconsin, right? And the Rodney, too, is, of course, very popular amongst other naval history buffs, as its, involvement in the pursuit of the Bismarck and how the crew managed to push her faster than her design top speed. So, yes, of course, too, that ship is quite popular. So, is it odd that Wargaming is just now deciding to put these popular ships in, all within probably, if we go by their announcement, probably within a few months of each other? I mean, maybe, but you do have to remember, too, a couple of things about this game. One, it is a business, right? This game is operated to make money. So naturally, if Wargaming wants to make money, they, of course, would ideally want to give the people what they want. And you can take that statement and do what you want with it, because I know submarine CVs and all that jazz, but of course they want to make money, so they are going to release popular ships. Ideally, that is, of course, what makes them money, right? So it's just a little odd that people are suddenly going, oh, now they're introducing these ships because they want the money. Well, they've always wanted the money. It just took them a while to get to these ships. I mean, look at the ships we have in game. We have the Missouri, we have the Tirpitz, we have the Bismarck, we have the Warspite, we have tons and tons of real still historical ships in game that are insanely popular. The Enterprise, although you can't really get it right now, the Haida, and so forth and so on, right? Like, there's plenty of ships in this game that do have storied histories that are quite popular, that have been released throughout the year. So was it a cash grab when they released those ships back in the day? Not really, right? But again, with the timing and releasing the announcements of 3 very popular ships back to back, I can see how some might see that. Now, as far as it being an outright cash grab, well, so far, from what we know about the release of these ships, I'm going to say probably not, because we got some information today that is most surprising and is very, very good for the players, in my opinion. So we learned today that the Wisconsin is not going to be released into the premium shop or in the armory. She's, in fact, the next dockyard ship. And in fact, from what we've seen so far from this announcement, it's a very generous dockyard. In fact, you only have to buy 2 stages of the dockyard in order to acquire the Wisconsin. That's right, 2. Not 3, not 4, not 5, 2. And in fact, you can get the starter bundle that only costs 3,200 dubs. So for a tenth of the cost of a normal tier 10 premium ship, you can get the Wisconsin just by playing the game and coughing up 3,200 dubs. But Sealord, the missions are going to be crazy, and this, that, and the other. You're going to grind your life away. Well, yeah, I could definitely see them making the missions a little bit more difficult, because it is a tier 10 premium ship you're getting here. But guess what else is arriving in the update where the Wisconsin is going to be the dockyard ship? Asymmetric battles. And in the past dockyards, you have been able to do every single combat mission in every single mode in the game, with the exception of clan battles, I do believe. So, you can get the Wisconsin by coughing up 3,200 dubs, and you more than likely, again, unless this changes just for this one particular dockyard, grind away the missions for the Wisconsin in asymmetric modes, and asymmetric battles. So, that means this is likely going to be one of the easiest dockyards in terms of grinding difficulty in recent years. Which I think is amazing that Wargaming's doing that, right? You get the Wisconsin, which is, of course, a very popular ship here in the United States, and you can get it just by playing asymmetric battles, the battles that everybody likes and loves, because they're fun, right? You go into battle, beat the crap out of a bunch of bots, and by doing that over the course of 13.3, you can get your Wisconsin for 3,200 dubs. So, That's pretty cool. Now, of course, there's going to be players that are going to whale the Wisconsin because it's the Wisconsin. They want it right now, right? So definitely they're going to be making some money off of that. But you can get it for, again, a tenth of the cost. And in the 20th stage of the dockyard, you get the West Virginia 44 for free. That very popular ship that we were waiting forever for, that they released in an early access event, and now they're bringing it back 6 months later, which, I mean, yeah, it's dumb they released it. I don't like the early access events for the premium ships. You haven't figured that out yet. But they're re-releasing it completely for free, and you can get the West Virginia 44, a Tier 7 premium ship that is pretty darn good in my opinion, completely for free. By just getting to the 20th stage of the dockyard. You can get to the 28th stage completely for free in the dockyard too. So again, you get a free Tier 7 premium, all the goodies of the dockyard, and then the Wisconsin for 3,200 dubs. That's pretty generous in my humble opinion. Now again, unless they pull some shenanigans with the dockyard missions, yeah, that'll be a different case. But going off of what we've seen from the previous dockyards, it should be a pretty easy dockyard to do. Mission might be a little bit longer because it is a Tier 10, but still, it's looking like a pretty solid dockyard from there on out. So that, of course, brings us down to the Rodney and to the Johnston. So, okay, they're doing a generous thing with the Wisconsin in Update 13.3, which is not the next update, but the one after that. But what about the Rodney and the Johnston? Why are they getting released suddenly back to back? Well, you see, dear viewer, it's 2024. And I don't know how good you are at math. I'm not that great at math. But 80 years ago was 1994. And if you're not up to snuff on your history, it's a pretty busy year. Because in 1944, not only did we get D-Day, which the Rodney took part in, and if you look at the ships announced with the Rodney, there's a couple other real historical ships that were announced with the Rodney. They took part in D-Day. And it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Big year. So, there's where Rodney fits in. And then, the Johnston, you know what's happening? Well, not exactly 80 years ago today, but 80 years ago in October, the Battle off Samar, where the Johnston charged the Yami and Taffy 3 engaged Kurita's fleet off of Samar. That all happened in October of 1944. And again, it's the 80th anniversary. And there's only one 80th anniversary. And, well, as much as I think this game probably isn't dying just yet, I don't think it's going to make it to the 90th anniversary of the Battle off Samar. I could be eating my own words 10 years from now. But, hey, I think that's what's going on more so than the game's dying. So we better, release all the popular ships and grab the cash right now. And, of course, to everyone that likes to say the game's dying when Wargaming is literally giving the players what they ask for in terms of premium ships, Wood Warplanes is still running. They haven't pulled the plug on that sucker yet, and it's still going. So I think we're fair ways away from the game dying. And I know some will say, well, yeah, it's still running, but it doesn't really get that many updates and such. Yeah, that's true too. But again, if you look at the player numbers, if we keep going the ways that we're going now with the decline of the North American server and the general player numbers, you still got probably a solid 5 years left in this game before we actually get to the, okay, we're sitting in matchmaking for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes now. And now they're populating the server with bots because there's not enough players. And I think we're 5 years away from that if the numbers again continue at their current pace. So I don't think that's the case here. And, it's always a certain group of players that just anytime something good happens into the game, or anytime anything happens in the game, even Wargaming listening to the players, they say, game's dying, right? So not everything that happens in this game is a sign of the game dying, and not every event that comes out is a blatant cash grab, right? So I'm really excited. Looks like we're going to have a great 2024 ahead of us right now. We're getting some ships that we've been asking for. The Wisconsin's going to be a very cheap ship for many players, a very expensive ship for some other players as well, right? But it's looking like we're going to have at least a very, very, very entertaining 13.3. But again, we shall see how that goes. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and all that jazz. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. I will be live streaming right here tonight on the channel. Well, this evening on the channel from around 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time to around 7-ish p.m. U.S. Central Time. So make sure to come out for that. Hope you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.